guys, it's Cloudy. How are you all? I recently made a So You Want to Watch Shoujo vlog that got a lot of attention. So I want to create a bit of a beginner's guide for anyone who's looking to get into K-dramas. Today we're going to be dividing K-dramas into 5 to 6 different genre categories and giving you guys some recommendations on each genre as well. In my K-dramas yay or nay videos, I have a whole list of dramas that were recommended there. I'm gonna try not to overlap those drama recommendations and give different ones to help me explain some of the genres that we see recurring in very popular K-drama series. The first genre that comes to mind when we talk about K-dramas has to be corporate settings or rich families. Dramas love to delve into the chaebol lifestyle, chaebol drama, toxic family relationships, inheritance scandals, and some of the most popular dramas that I've seen in this category include Sky Castle for rich housewives that are trying to get their kids into one of the big 3 universities in Korea. For Sky Universities, one of these 3 over here, if your child gets into them, they're basically set for life. They're like the elite of the elite in Korean society. There was another popular series from a few years ago called Penthouse, where apartment housewives vie for social supremacy over each other in a bougie apartment complex. This genre usually has very strong family elements, but it can also have a very strong poor rich couple dynamic. In Noble My Love, which is a series that is pretty old, but I enjoyed it a lot, it follows a rich guy who gets saved by a veterinarian and he slowly falls in love with her quirky and spunky personality. In King the Land and also recently airing Queen of Tears, we see an heiress or an heir, a chaebol, fall in love with a regular hardworking employee. And a lot of the story for this genre either takes place in the company setting or just among the family members in their huge mansions. I also want to touch on the fact that in this genre or this category, there are certain casts that focus solely on the company workers. So for example, with Extraordinary Attorney Woo, it takes place in a legal office and a lot of the story is focused on legal work among lawyers. In Misaeng Incomplete Life, a very iconic drama about working life, it follows a group of young employees that are trying to navigate a multinational corporation, a lot of the struggles that come with being a small potato in a big company. And there are also working theme dramas where the characters have different jobs in a sort of similar field that allows them to interact on a daily basis, and a lot of their experiences overlap as well. We can see this in Descendants of the Sun, where 3 of the 4 main characters are soldiers and 2 of the 4 main characters are doctors. So they have a lot of like similar frequency and thinking. If you're not into the humdrum working life, the second category I want to talk about is supernatural elements. This can be anything from aliens in outer space to regular people with supernatural powers or strange telekinetic supernatural abilities. This can be haunted houses or haunted locations. In this category, I want to talk about time travel. Time travel is becoming a very popular theme recently because of Marry My Husband. This is an instance where a woman goes back in time to change her fate and get revenge on people that tried to murder her in her original life. There are also time travel shows that are a bit more slice of life oriented, where they try to go back in time so that they can untangle a regret that they had. There is a show called Live Up to Your Name, where a doctor from the past travels to the future and meets an individual who only believes in modern medicine. Another supernatural element that we don't see very often but is pretty fun to explore is universe hopping. In W2 Worlds, a woman jumps into a manhwa that was created by her father and ends up entangled in a bunch of mysteries and murders. In Extraordinary You, a girl jumps into a comic book and decides to take control of her storyline to find a different destiny and ending. For haunted buildings and supernatural locations, I want to mention Hotel DeLuna, which follows an innkeeper who is cursed to take care of ghosts before they pass on to the next world, and also Midnight Photo Studio, which is airing right now, where a photo studio takes a ghost's last portrait before they pass on to the next life. Also, Sweet Home is another really interesting one. Monsters spawn in the city and a bunch of people who live in this apartment complex together have to battle it out for survival in an apocalyptic horror setting. For people with supernatural abilities, we have to think of a strong woman Dobong-soon, which is the most popular one that comes to mind. There's also a show called While You Were Sleeping with 3 adults that have the power to dream about past and future scenes. They solve crimes together because they're able to sort of piece the entire situation together with clues and dreams. My Love from the Star, probably one of the most famous K-dramas ever, follows an alien who comes to Earth and falls in love with a famous actress. And of course, the alien aspect is another supernatural element to the show. All right, our third category is slice of life K-dramas. This can be slice of life that follows coming of age, childhood friends that grow up together and become entangled in love. There's usually a big aspect on working life, adulting, responsibilities, person-to-person drama. Shows that I've talked about recently include Hometown Chachacha, which follows a love-hate relationship between a dentist and a handyman in a seaside town, and also Dr. Slump, which follows two medical professionals who have to deal with their mental health as their career dips into a slump. On a more serious and realistic note, we have the Reply show, Reply 1997, 94, and also 98. And also on a more comedic note, we have Eulachacha Waikiki, which follows a group of friends who open a guest house together and get into a lot of different antics and craziness in their daily lives. Now for the next category, we have totally different fantasy settings. This category I would say is different from the supernatural category we talked about earlier because the supernatural aspect tends to take place in a modern day city setting where supernatural elements impede modern life. But for this fantasy category, it takes place in a totally different kingdom, society, world that has different magic systems, different politics, and overall just a totally different setting. For Alchemy of Souls, the story took place in a fictional setting called Deho, which is a kingdom that was developed next to a lake with huge magical powers. For Kingdom, which also had 2 seasons, takes place in a period historical setting, but there are zombies. It's a zombie apocalypse. There's no mention of any historical settings, and basically it's just a dog-eat-dog, survive till the last man apocalyptic kingdom. Arthdal is another popular fantasy series. It takes place in a world that is inspired by Korean mythology, where different clans are vying for power as society is stably developing alongside civilization. So if you want to be transported away from modern life and you want to be fully immersed in a fantasy setting, those are some of the shows that you can check out. The next category I want to touch on is kids in school. Kids in school has some overlap with chaebols. Sometimes we see a rich guy and a poor girl, or a rich girl and a poor guy, like in The Heirs, most famous prep school K-drama classic. We also have the actual school franchise that follows kids in their regular school life. There's teenage toxicity, there's love triangles, unrequited crushes, coming of age, school 2013, 15, 17, and 21. I think it's around now that we should be getting another rendition of the school K-drama. Most of the high school shows choose a hobby or a field of study and have the show revolve around that aspect. For example, Weightlifting fairy Kim Bok-ju follows 2 young athletes in a university setting. Cheer Up follows cheerleaders and preppy students. And Dream High, which is notorious for being like a cringy old K-drama, follows a bunch of young arts school students who are trying to pursue their dreams in the performing arts industry. And by having students grouped by club or activity or sport, they have overlapping experiences, which makes it easier for them to have connections to each other throughout the story. The next one is period dramas. Period dramas are any dramas inspired by historical context. Most popularly, we see a lot of dramas that take place in the Joseon era or Joseon dynasty. The most classic one I can think of is Daejanggeum, which has a bazillion episodes. Daejanggeum is very popular because the show follows a young woman whose character is loosely based off of the first female medical practitioner in historical Korea. And most of the series takes place in the cooking department or the cuisine that's inside the palace. So it's sort of a deep dive into food, court politics, romance, history, a lot of that stuff all rolled into one. Very classic drama if you want to get started with an oldie but a goodie. Dongyi is another historical drama. It's based off of the life of Dongyi, later known as Choi Sok-bin. She worked in the royal palace as a lowly water maid, and Kim Sok-jong selected Choi as his concubine. She ends up giving birth to a future king, so she was an actual historical figure. And this drama has more of a focus on historical elements rather than just the romantic aspect. And of course, a lot of court politics involved as well. Another one that I want to mention is The Moon Embracing the Sun, which follows the love story between a king and a female shaman. Now we're getting into more of the creative aspect of period dramas. The Scholar Who Walks the Night follows a love story between a noble woman who's disguised as a male bookseller and a vampire. I don't remember much about the series, but I remember I enjoyed it a lot. Lee Joon-gi is in it, and also Eubin is in it. That's the show that made me fall in love with Eubin, and she is currently appearing in Revenge of the Seven, season 2. For slightly more light-hearted sageuk, we have The Lovers of the Red Sky, which follows a painter who falls in love with an astronomer. Some demon fantasy stuff or supernatural stuff gets thrown into there as well. And also The King's Affection, which I'm currently watching at the time of this video. It's set in the Joseon era where there's a swapped identity. The princess becomes the crown prince, and there's this huge secret that she has to keep for all of her life because she's a woman pretending to be a man and trying to fulfill the crown prince's role. All right, the last category I want to talk about is very exciting. It talks about revenge plots. It follows characters who are manipulative. They will use and betray each other. There is a reward or some sort of stake at hand. The characters might be killed off at any instant. For the genre, of course, it has to be Squid Game that spurred a huge following for dark, atmospheric, last man standing kind of series. Also, we have The Glory, which follows a woman who plans out her revenge for years and years on end to get back at the bullies who tormented her in high school. Recently airing was a drama called Night Has Come, which follows high school students that play mafia, and the mafia gets out of hand because people start mysteriously dying. So if you're looking for something to like twist your insides in and out, get you on the edge of your seat, these are the ones to check out. Of course, none of the dramas that I mentioned are only strictly labeled within these categories. I only divided K-dramas into these categories to give beginners an easier approach to K-dramas. There are a lot of overlaps with genres and different elements that are thrown into the storytelling. For example, we have Yumi Cells, which is a slice of life romance that has a main cast of workers. We have Marry My Husband, which also has a working cast, but a lot of supernatural and time traveling and revenge elements. And psychological dramas like Hell is Other People that has a lot of dark aspects and also trippy things that sort of like play with your perception of the storytelling and reality, which doesn't have any romance or realistic elements at all. So there is a lot to explore about the K-drama world. I hope you guys will give some of these shows a try. Down below is all of the dramas that I've listed in this vlog today. If you guys like my vlog, don't forget to subscribe and comment on what your favorite dramas are in each category, and stay tuned for more K-drama content as well. I will talk to you guys in my next one very soon. Bye!